Hello y'all on YouTube, this is Rob with Rob's Nerdy Knives. Today I have a very interesting unboxing, something that came in from one of my subscribers allowing me to borrow some knives. So let's get into this. I have no idea what's in here, but I'm super excited because this guy's loaned me some knives before and they've been pretty cool. So let's take a look. I'm always grateful when anybody considers allowing me to, maybe borrowing one of your knives just for review. And just so you know, if you guys are thinking about that, I don't beat them up. I don't do hard use, anything like that on there. I treat them like I'm borrowing somebody's, special knife, and I'm just going to take it apart. Not take it apart. No, I'm not taking it apart. I'm going to open the box. When I take the box apart and look at the knife, I'm going to just kind of just try it out, get an impression of the knife. All right, so what do we got here? All right, so we've got Lee Williams Kickstop. I got a note here, so let me see what the note says. All right. This guy is awesome. Every time he does this, man, that's awesome. All right, so that's the Jared Oeser Kickstop. Oh, and a Buck 112 auto. Wow. All right. Very cool. All right, the Buck 112 auto in a clip sheath as well. You want to shout, so if you want to shout out the maker, you can. Okay, absolutely. All right. I have all sorts of leather goods from his Instagram is Lynch Leather. Okay, so Lynch Leather. All right, so we'll definitely do a shout out to Lynch Leather. All right, so we'll look at the two. What I'll probably do here, I may do the unboxing of both of these together only because I'm so far behind in my reviews, guys. I got to catch up. And I've got so much more content I got to make. So I don't want to get so far behind. That leather has a nice patina on it for sure. All right, I like that. I really want to check this one out. So I'm going to put this one off to the side. We'll come back to this. Let's take a look at this first. All right, so this is Lynch Leather. Nice clip. I do like that. That's a sturdy clip. Nice stitching on there. Beautiful patina. So it's definitely been used. You can see that this guy really, really likes the... Right. Oh, look at that patina on the knife. All right, so this is a Buck. I honestly have never really handled a Buck. I've seen them before, but this is an auto, okay? And this is one that's been well used. You can see the brass there, some nice tarnish from use. So let's try this. Make sure I got a good grip on this. I don't know how strong this is. Oh, not bad at all. I thought it was going to be a little harder than that. I'm used to the Protex, and the Magnese and stuff, but let's see. And how does it release? Oh, so it still releases like that. Okay. So it releases like that, and then it's pretty mild, okay? Yeah, it's got a little bit of play, which sometimes happens with automatics, right? So this is a what's it called, the 114? Oh man, I just put that down. Let me look at that again real quick. Sorry, guys. So I'm not familiar with Buck. This is the 112, sorry, the 112 auto. So this is the 112 auto. So I believe the Buck 110 is the classic one that they have. Oh, it's a hollow grind too, you notice that? Let's see, what do we got? USA. 110 12 plus. Doesn't say the blade steel on here. I'd have to look that up to see what it is, but pretty smooth, very interesting. Yeah, relatively centered, a little off, but not bad. Got a nice steel back spacer here. This is, I guess, would be a back lock. Typical of the other ones, but the action is not. Yeah, I keep wanting to press that button to release it, but it's not that hard. Yeah, you can feel that. You see that? It's not super hard. But it does work well. And it's got a nice grip. I got medium, large hands. You can see my hands right there. Definitely have a little room. Much larger, you're going to be close to the edge. I think if you have double extra large hands, it might be a little small if you're okay with that. And then not really a choke up position here. It looks like he might be choking up quite a bit, or hard use. I'm not sure what that is. Not much of a sharpening choil, so you're going to run out of that. You're definitely going to be sharpening like you're doing a Spyderco against there. Hollow grind, so definitely looks like, yeah, you can look at that. That knife has been used and used well, so that's awesome. Nice wedge on the top, nicely rounded on top, beautiful satin finish. Wonder if this is like, 440C or something like that, or what kind of steel that is. I don't know. I'll have to look that up for the review, but very cool. Nice little button lock, a nice upgrade to 110 that's traditionally a different type of knife that you have to manually open, but you can definitely automatically open. Oh, and I keep wanting to press that button. You got to press the back here. So very cool, and it's that tip. I don't know if it looks like a clip point. I don't know if you can call that a Bowie clip point modified. I don't really know what the difference is sometimes, because sometimes they look so similar, right? So for instance, my knife here, this is a drop point, but there's a clip point on a Bowie version that looks a lot like a clip point, but I think the Bowie is much longer. I think it starts further back, and I don't know, it has a deeper belly. I don't know, but anyways. Very, very cool. I like that. I like that a lot. Nice rounded all the way around. Nice little wood feature in there. It's got the little pegs when it brings it together. It's not a disassembly, reassemble type of knife. You can see that has a little things when it's tightened together and probably hammer those things. I think this is made in the USA. Yeah, USA made. So this is probably made in USA. Yeah, very cool. I like that. And I love this sheath. This is really nice. Lynch leather. So yeah, we'll have to put a link down in the description for Lynch leather. Really nicely done. I like that. Really well. Nice strong stitching on here. I do like that a lot. Yeah, really cool. Nice clip. It's in there really solid with a little brass button there to kind of keep it in place. I do like that. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. So it allows this, if you don't have a deep carry clip, you can still carry it in your pocket like that and pull it out. So very nice. My first experience with a Buck 110. So there you go. All right, so let's look at this Oeser Kickstop M190 titanium. This is in satin. So I've been actually really on the fence thinking I'd like to try this, but I don't know, you know, it's just so different and I wasn't sure of my aesthetic. So thank you so much for allowing me to try this, because this really is going to answer a question of, you know, is this something I do want to try or not? All right, so this is the titanium version. I do like that little look there. Kind of gives it a traditional, definitely a used knife, which I love. I love the fact this guy's using this knife. Deep pocket carry clip, you can see that. It's going to be about right there. It's not super deep, not super high. T8 screws all the way around. This is definitely made by Riot. It's got that Riot quality. I like that little inlay there. Little steel. I don't know if it's titanium or steel. Makes me wonder, is that steel or titanium? See, do I have my magnet around here? I'm trying to see if I can find my magnet. I have a magnet here somewhere. Of course, when I'm looking for it, I can't find it. Well, I'm gonna have to try to find, where'd it go? All right, here, I'll have to use this magnet for my keys, I guess. I want to be real careful here. So, is that steel? No, I can't quite tell. All right, we'll have to, I think this might be titanium as well. It's just polished, right? So, all right, so here we go. Nicely centered. It's got a little swedge on top here. I like that. Full utilization of that blade all the way to the very tip of the handle. I mean, that is extending it all the way out. So I like that. All right, so to Kickstop. So if you remember my rendition 229 for Chavez, it goes away and it hides. Let's see it. And it has a beautiful execution when you flick it. So let's see. Yes, that is nice. All right, so a nice cutaway. It's cutaway inside here in both. All right, so you've got a bolster lock right here. This is inside. Now that is a little sharp. I did notice that right away. Ooh, that'll catch you if you come back. Yeah, so you gotta be careful about that. Yeah, that I would, if this was my knife, I would probably be buffering that. I'd take this apart and I would chamfer that a little bit. That is just really, really sharp, and I don't like that because I would cut myself a few times. But let's see, how does it close? Nicely. Action is really nice. Yeah, really, really nice. That's really cool. Yeah, I don't know, the Chavez, it's Kickstop. It's a much bigger blade. And it's up a little higher and it leverages a little bit more. But for this blade, you can see, let's see, where do we clear the detent ball? So there's the detent ball and we're clear right about there. Okay, so if we're dropping, got to make sure we get right there and then it'll drop all the way down. Very nice, very smooth. Yeah, and you're definitely going to be cleared that detent ball. Now, I will say, you know, it's not cut out a whole lot here. Oh, so let's look at that. The engagement here, we're about a good 30%. That's good. It's got steel bar insert over travel stop. That's always good. Even though with this bolster frame right here being inside of it, it's going to definitely keep that in place. You can see these are titanium liners in there, and I'm pretty sure that's titanium liners, not steel liners. Titanium backspacer, titanium male deep pocket carry clip, which is nicely rounded for the most part. Yeah, but you notice the clip. The clip doesn't sit perfectly on there, so it's only a little tip point right there where it connects. That's kind of a bummer. A little aesthetic, or I think it would be nicer if it was rounded inside. It had one touch point that's not over here on the edge, because, yeah, see, if you're doing a tight grip, you can see it kind of rolls it a little bit. Now, when I grip on here, it's good grip, good presentation, but you see there's nothing to keep me from sliding up and down. And then if my hand slides up and down, yeah, so, okay, well, I'm glad I got a chance to check this out, because you see that edge? If I slide up and down and I move back and forth, it's going to cut really sharply on the inside there. That is definitely something I might not care for. There's no jimping to make sure you secure. So this is going to be more of a gentleman's carry. This would be something you'd carry to church, to work, something you're not going to be hard use. This is definitely not a hard use knife. It's more of an aesthetically pleasing, nice knife. I do like the Kickstop, but I got to tell you, it's not as enjoyable as it is on the Chavez, but it works well. I will say that much. But the fact that there's no really great place to keep me from sliding in and out, and then the sharp edge right there, both of the sharp edges, really going to tear up my hand right here. I could just be cut up all sorts of, if I'm sliding, trying to do a hard cut. And I can feel that back there as I'm reaching. It doesn't dig in, but that is pretty sharp. You see that's a little sharp there as well. I wish that was a little more rounded. That's kind of a bummer. I mean, yeah. You know, having had a chance to touch this and handle this knife ahead of time, there's a lot that I like about it, but there's a few things that are definitely key points that in my aesthetic, in my wheelhouse, that would keep it from something that I would make me want to go out and buy it, okay? And that's just being honest, right? Now, if some of these things don't matter to you, then you're going to love this knife because it's a beautiful knife. It really is. That flipper works wonderfully, especially with that Kickstop. It's just phenomenal. I love it. It feels like, let's see here, can I even fail it? Let's see if we can. No, I can't even fail it. As much as I try to fail it, let's try it one more time. I'm going to work real hard, see if I can try to fail it. Yeah, but that's really hard to do. I bet I can't do it a second time. Let's see. Oh, I can do it a second time. You know what it is I'm actually stopping it with my finger here. All right, so let's try to fail it without getting any reverse force. Okay, that's where it goes naturally. That's as best I can do. If I just do barely, see, it's going to go up. If I'm not really if I'm just trying to do real light, it's still going to lock up. It's still going to lock up. So it's always going to lock up that way. But it is a flipper only. There's no other means to flip it out. I can't do a middle finger flip, which, you know, this is a single flipper kind of deployment. It works well, and it works well even left-handed. I will say that sharp edges is definitely a bummer for me. I really wish that was rounded. I wish the clip was a little more rounded as well, and it didn't cause it to kind of torque a little bit here, because I feel like after a while it's going to torque and bend that, depending on how hard you use and how hard you grab the knife. I mean, maybe if you just think this is a beautiful collection piece, it'll be fine, right? If you just lightly use this and you just want to keep it for church or for work, something that's more, you know, an aesthetic knife, kind of nice looking gentleman's carry, you know, it's definitely that. I love the fact that the liners, the titanium liners, match the scales that are on the outside of it. So this is sort of like an inset frame lock, because it does have the steel bar insert and the over travel stop, but then you have this outside liner that makes this a bolster lock, I guess. I don't know. The T8s, it doesn't look like, yeah, it's not captive pivot. I just noticed that. So it's not captive pivot. That's another thing that kind of bums me out, especially when I see a nicer knife. I would like to see nicer knives always do a captive pivot. That to me is, I get sometimes why you don't do that. It allows you for tuning a little bit better, and you can use different parts to get better alignment and better tunement. I get that. I get that. And then if you do that, a lot of times they'll put like some really heavy-duty Loctite that's not just a regular Loctite 242. They'll put like, I think it's 277 or whatever it is, the other one. That's like you have to use take it apart, and you have to use like a flame to heat it up to be able to release it before it unlocks, right? So that's like the super duper Loctite. But yeah, you can, and it still has that little clickety click where you get, yeah, when it closes and open, that all Kickstops have, that double click, because inside here, there's a pivot that goes in here, and there's two washers that's on that particular, and I'll show you. You can see, that's okay, so you can see this right here. You see how this moves back and forth right here? That's the Kickstop. And that's the Kickstop, and in here there's a pin that it torques on. It runs around a pivot point, and that pivot has washers on either side, kind of like a Spyderco. So that has its own washers, and then there's cage ceramic ball bearings on the knife blade itself. And you'll see this engages the tang of the blade back here differently. So right here is where it's flat, and then when it closes down here, this is now pushed and locked into place right here, again, by the tang of the blade, and that's what holds it there. So that's kind of interesting. I like that. I always like the physics and the engineering in that Kickstop. I think it's cool. But otherwise, I mean, nicely chamfered. Everything's rounded on the outside, very comfortable otherwise. This is the blade. You know, it's got a small pseudo swedge on there. I like that tip. It's kind of a cool tip. You see that? Kind of a pseudo, but gives you a nice, stout, strong tip. So this definitely gives you some pokey to open some boxes. A lot of letters. This would be a great letter opener. Definitely a nice office knife. Could open, dog food, cat food, mulch, fertilizer, whatever you're doing out there in the yard, cases of water. Yeah, definitely. It's nice. I like that. Definitely reverse, kind of pull cut, forward cut. You can choke up a little bit right here and get a nice grip. So, I have medium, large hands. So my hands are medium lengthwise, large widthwise. And so an extra large, double extra, maybe even 3X hands can absolutely grip this and have plenty of room there. Definitely choking up on that, right? But the problem is, you can slide on this. And what I don't like is those edges right there. I can feel that edge. See right here, this edge and this edge right here. And if I'm moving back and forth because there's nothing locking me in place, if I'm cutting and it's wet or slippery, that right there is going to rip right into my hand right there. Ooh, I can just feel it right there, scratching me right there. So, there is that. And if I were to buy this knife and own it, I would have to chamfer those corners. I'd have to round those just because it's just too sharp, right? That's just something that, to me, is something that I would like to see smoothed out a little bit. But that's just me. It's not my knife, so I'm not going to do anything like this to it. I want to respect this person's knife, and they've obviously carried it and used it. And so for them, it may not be an issue, right? So if you got more larger hands and you're reaching around this, maybe your hands are like out here. So you see, like if you have larger hands and you're way out here, that part's never going to be an issue for you, but my hands are a little shorter, and so I'm going to be a little tighter, and I'm going to have my fingers right up to that point. So maybe longer fingers, this is not an issue, whatever. So maybe this design is going to favor more someone with longer fingers. My particular finger length, that part's going to get right into that groove of my finger, and those edges are going to be right there on that groove, and I can feel that. And so if I was out here a little bit more where it was more riding on top of here, I think I would be fine, right? So, I mean, it may be a big deal about nothing, right? I may make, as they say, much to do about nothing. So it may be that, but it's something that I would consider, and I'm glad I had a chance to try it. I love the Kickstop. I really love the Kickstop. It's just awesome. I love the quality of the knife, the design. It's been really well used. I love that. I'd say this is going to be a big deal. The clip right here, can you see what I'm talking about? The clip being not quite, let's see if we can get that down there. You see how the clip, I don't know if I can get the view right there on the clip. You can see where it's not fully touching there. I don't know if we can get that view from here. Can we do that here? Yeah, I don't know if you can see that, but it's not fully touching. It's just a very, very tip, which to me is kind of a bummer, right? And it means it's going to move, it may not move back and forth because that looks like it's really recessed in there and nicely locked in place. But yeah, that's kind of a disappointment for me, I think. I think that, and then the fact that there's no jimping anywhere, and I would feel like my hand could slide back and forth, and because of that, and the sharp edges, that compounds these edges more, and my ability to be able to keep locked in place. Because this would be great if this could help me lock in place, but with those sharp edges, it's going to lock me in place at the expense of cutting my hand. And I think you can already see some scratching going on there. But anyways, but I love the action. I love what Riot does. I mean, it's beautiful. You can just see that it's already drop shutting really nicely. What happens if you haven't had your knife in a while, and it sometimes seems like it's not as smooth as it was when you last put it down, if you put it like you stored it or something. It's just because it's got to break back in a little bit. Sometimes you get oxidation of the phosphor bronze washers or the cage ceramic ball bearings that is also in a phosphor bronze cage, if you will, around the ball bearings, unless they're nylon. In some cases, some people will use nylon because it's more corrosion resistant. I know my Quiet Carry Drift LC has nylon cage ceramic ball bearings, and they do that intentionally because that's more water resistant. It's not going to have that salt water get into the phosphor bronze and oxidize it. So I like that. I think it's cool. And it's a much tighter fit, so there's less grit getting into those washers. Not saying they can't, but it's less. So there's that. Yeah, I do like this. I think it's pretty cool. I think there's a lot of positive about this. I think it's gorgeous. It's the quality that I expected it to be. It's really beautiful. I'm glad I had a chance to try it out, and I'm, again, very grateful. I love the Kickstop, but I think because of my concerns and some of the things that I thought might be something that I might not like, I do think I was right. This was a surprise, these sharp edges here, but I could get around that. I could buff that out. This right here I could get around. I could buff that out as well. I mean, that's certainly true. But I don't know. That's a lot of work for a really nice knife that should already be pretty much finished out, right? So, you know, the aesthetics doesn't speak to me as much as some of the other knives. It is nice, and I wanted to get it because of the Kickstop, and everybody said, oh, it's great, you know, because even I fall into that whole buzz about, oh yeah, everyone's got to get this knife. It's so great. It's so great. It's the knife you got to get. You got to get. You got to get. Everyone's got to get it, right? And I was like really tempted to, but I thought, man, it's a lot of money, and I don't know if I really like it. I appreciate this knife. I really do, and I appreciate the subscriber allowing me to borrow it, and I appreciate the aesthetic of it, and I can definitely see the appeal to it. But it's not. Again, this is one of these knives that's not quite my cup of tea, just like the Buck 112, the 112 Auto. A Buck 110 or 112, they're just not my cup of tea. But you know what? I'm so cool. It's so cool to be able to try a knife out and appreciate some of the design in it. It really is cool. I mean, this is an American-made knife over here. And I love the fact, American-made sheath, by the way, Lynch leather. And I love the fact it's USA-made hollow grind. I love that. I think that's really cool. So, and I also really appreciate this, the design here. The let's look at this right here. The Oeser F22 Kickstop, right? Titanium satin hardware. I think that's really nice. Okay, here we are. Oeser 22 Kickstop M390 titanium, option 1 satin. So, I think it's really cool. I am really grateful to my reviewers, especially this reviewer allowing me to check this out. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and definitely check out Lynch Leather. I'll have a link down in the bottom. But very cool unboxing. Really excited to get this. I'll do a review. I might do a summary review together of the two. I might do them separately. I don't know. It might be a quick review of this one because I don't know too much about Buck. I think it was really cool to experience. So I'll say this much. I'm not sure if I'm going to review this one because Buck is not something I would ever... I mean, I'll handle this for a little bit and we'll see. Because I don't know much about Buck, and it's definitely a knife outside my wheelhouse. I need to do a little more research on this and see what the steel is and stuff. But I can say now that I've actually handled a Buck 112. Yeah, I might do a review. I don't know. I'm up in the air because it seems like a Buck 110, but just auto. And I don't know. Yeah, let me handle this. Yeah, I'll probably do a review. Each of them will have a separate review. Sorry, I'm thinking out loud, and you probably don't want to hear that, but I want to be fair, right? I don't want to just say, hey, I'm going to do a review, and I don't do a review, and I don't want to say, hey, I'm not going to do a review, and then I do a review. So I want to be fair about that and commit to it and then do it. But again, thank you so much to my awesome subscriber for allowing me to borrow this. And for the letter and for what you included in the letter, thank you. You did not have to do that. Definitely gonna give a shout out to Lynch Leather. I really am impressed with their leather. This is the kind of aesthetic I like. Okay, just to be honest, I've seen some other leathers that have really well embossed really beautifully and over the top and all this fancy stuff. I like simplicity like this, functional simplicity, a nice clip, a nice stitching, solid stitching, really well patinaed leather. You can see this has been used, been nicely finished off on the sides, really nicely sealed and oiled that to really bring a beautiful kind of function to it. Yeah, I dig that. I dig that indeed. If I was going to get a slip joint, which I'm not a slip joint guy, but if I was going to get one, I'd check these guys out. I'm sure he does slip joint leather sheaths as well. If he does it for the Bucks, I'm sure he does it for some other slip joints too. I bet he does some of the Jack Wolf stuff and probably some of the Javi Garcia USA Customs and the Enrique Pena USA Custom slip joints. I bet he probably, I'm sure, does stuff like that. But anyways, hey, thanks so much again. Appreciate it, guys. If you found this unboxing first impression, by the way, this is unboxing and first impression. It's not a review. Review is to come, right? But if you found this interesting, informative, entertaining, or just, fun to watch, would you please consider hitting the like button down below? And if you've already hit that like button, would you consider hitting the subscribe button? Subscribing and liking my videos really helps me to produce more content, do more things for the channel and for you guys, and I really appreciate that. And if you've already hit the subscribe button, would you consider hitting the notification button so you can be notified of future content as I drop it? I would appreciate that too. And if you've liked all of that, maybe, hey, check me out. I'll put it on top here. Check me out at Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Again, that's on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Hey, thanks so much for watching today. Have a great day and a great week. Bye.